poetry, radio, verse. It's all about the D. Desire, discipline, dedication. I know what you were thinking, savages, but that ain't it. Let's go.
This is I-Nspiration. I've been writing these poems with invisible ink, leaving stains upon my soul.
This is RR TuTT, poetic EMC equals AAA. It's not often that you find a writer like me who will put you under the impression that I'm easy to read.
Welcome, welcome, and welcome. I am James Hamilton, and this is Versed, Season 1, Episode 5. Versed is here weekly, shining a light on Midwest poets and artists from what we like to call the hub of Midwest poetry, Rockford, Illinois. The WBM studios are located inside the basement of the Mendelssohn Center for the Performing Arts. In the studio with me today, I have, per usual, our Versed producer, cultural reference, and poet, Savvy Magoo, Paul Goddard. How you doing today?
I'm doing great, thanks.
Fantastic. This is going to be a good show today.
Absolutely.
We've been waiting for this one. Some of the guests that we've had on Versed, I have to do a lot of research about. I don't know about their pieces. I don't know. I mean, we've had guests here in the last week from Manitowoc. We've had them from Chicago. We've had them from, well, all over the place, right?
Right.
And but today is not the case. I know both of these gentlemen very well. And you know what? Before I introduce you, I want to tell you, both of you guys, one thing. We have this thing that we do here where, I curate the guests. We have 2 on every week, okay? There's a common thread between the 2 of you, and it is a common thread that I cooked up inside of here. So I'm just going to qualify it with that. And I just want you to take that, store it in the back of your brain, and we'll revisit it toward the end of the show. Think about it as we go through this and we have a conversation. My questions may or may not lead you in that direction. And then we'll see. I can tell you that none of the guests have gotten it right so far. Okay? But this is a crazy place to live inside this head. So I'm just going to throw that out there. So it's a little fun thing that we do. Mention it now, and then we'll come back to it. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to let you guys introduce yourselves, and I'll name who you are, and then you can go one at a time. Tell us a little bit about what you do, who you are, history, that sort of thing. Today, our verse guests include RR TuTT, the poetic EMC equals EEEEE. Did I get it right?
Yeah, you got it right, bro.
All right, I love it. I love it. RR TuTT hails from Green Bay, Wisconsin. And then we have from Racine, Wisconsin, I-Nspiration. Why don't you go first, and tell us a little bit about yourself.
I'm a spoken word poet, performer, activist, advocate as well. Advocate especially for epilepsy, since I have epilepsy. An activist towards and for civil and human rights. I've been doing poetry since 13. I'm 47 years of age. Haven't always taken it seriously. It's just my therapy and my way to, get out of shyness and introduce myself to girls. And I played around with, turn it into raps, and I just gonna get my time in right on the rap side. I was more into hustling, but in the last 2 years, I've been taking it very seriously since I reinstated into the Poet Organization and was made president of the Wisconsin chapter of Poet, which is a community activist-based organization that started in Chicago back in 1990. People of extraordinary talent. That's the gist of it, man. I mean, I'm nominated right now, just like yourself, James. You're nominated in National Spoken Word Awards. I'm nominated as well. I got Rising Star of the Year, Best Storyteller, and on our open mic in Racine, Wordsmith Wednesdays, the live open mic, as well as the radio show also was nominated. So definitely moving along. And I'm a traveling poet that's open for booking anywhere in the country. Will be a passport traveler soon. We do have chapters out in Jamaica, Ghana, Nigeria, friends overseas.
So I just want to be clear for viewers out there. So the POET organization, POET, People of Extraordinary Talent, that's called an acronym, right, Paul?
Oh, wow. It's impressive. Yes.
Yeah. So I have been abusing the English language for almost 5 years professionally now. So there are things that I don't know. I just wanted to say, so that organization was started in Chicago. It is Black Ice.
Correct.
Is the president of the international version of that, and you are, well, you're my president.
Correct.
God damn it. You're my president, because I live, well, I'm getting to the point where I'm splitting about half and half. I'm living in Rockford about half the time. At the Poets Clubhouse we call the Blue Box.
Yeah.
And the rest of the time I'm in the middle of a cornfield somewhere in central Wisconsin that has shitty coffee.
Well, and I has stayed at my house during his clown bar tenure at the West Side Showroom.
Right, we get into a little bit of that later. I want to give RR TuTT here a chance to let us know a little bit about him. Tell us about yourself.
Well, I am RR TuTT, poetic EMC equals EE. And I'm originally from Chicago, and I'm originally with a group called the Black Pirate Militia, which is from Chicago. And for those that don't understand what Black Pirate Militia means, I'm going to break it down to you. So pirate itself stands for positive, insightful, revelations, all times eternal. And militia stands for militant, I'm living in this insane asylum. We are the only hip-hop group in the universe with that name. Look us up. We've been doing music since the early 90s, and I'm one of the last function members of the group. And me, myself, I've been doing poetry, music, hip-hop, breakdance, and graffiti, martial arts, the whole thing for a long time. So I started off at 8. My parents, they all had siblings that did music. They were musicians, so they did art and everything. So, music always been a part of my life since the age of 8. I'm 55 now. So I've been doing hip-hop, breakdancing, graffiti, beatboxing, DJing, microphone gripping. Oh no, that's not that part, right? My bad. But
No,
yeah,
let's not get him started. Let's not get him started. We got the hose ready.
yeah.
Did we talk to building maintenance? And we said if TuTT starts going, we may need to hose him off.
So, James, I do have a question for TuTT.
Sure.
You were
Yeah.
breaking down Black Pirate Militia.
Yes.
But I wish you'd break down TuTT. What does that stand for?
Well, the RRTUT, well, my name is Ralph Reginald Tutwiler. That's my last name. That's my
Okay.
last name. But, I had to get freaky in this new millennium now with these young brothers and sisters, in the hip-hop game. So I looked at my names just like I would look at, like, R2D2. So RRTUT is an acronym. So it stands for Rhythm, Rhymes, Transcending Universal Tribulations. That's my occupation. So, yeah.
Wow.
So yeah, that's what that stands for. My name, RTUT, poetic
Yeah,
MC.
I've never asked that question before. I asked the Black Pirate Militia question before, but I just, I know your government, so I just kind of figured it was
That's
off
what
of
it
that.
is,
But I didn't
yeah.
know you done turned it. I should have known better. You turned that one into an acronym. But,
Yeah. So yeah, that's what that represents.
Thank you.
The name.
So we've got, I'm just trying to keep track of this, Paul. I can be a little slow sometimes.
No.
So we've got POET, we've got RR, we've got TUTT, we've got an I, we've got a VV in Savvy. I signed stuff JH, and then we got a BPM for Black Pirate Militia.
This guy's cold.
We got a lot going on.
This guy's good.
We got the whole alphabet in the house today is what
Oh,
we
my
got.
My head is
And
spinning.
We had a guest, a young female poet here on Verse. She's part of the Verse alumni family now, and she did an alphabet poem last week.
Ali Arguello.
Ali Arguello, yeah, fantastic young poet from down here in Rockford. And I'm definitely going to send her a message to let her know we did our own version of the alphabet today.
Right on.
What I want to talk about, we're bringing poets in from all over the place. And you guys all met me throughout my travels. I bounce around just about everywhere. And the reason behind us putting together Verse was I would meet cool people. Like I'd go to Racine and I'd run into an I-Nspiration. I'd go to Green Bay and I'd run into an RR TuTT. And I'd be like, these guys got to meet, And I wanted to have a forum because we'd have these conversations that were just priceless. And I'm like, people want to hear this shit, you know, it's on the air. So one of the things that we talk about is the scene. First of all, I know we all did a few pieces before we went on the air for the talk portion of the show.
Right.
And one of the pieces that you did, I know, whether you knew I knew or not, I knew. You named some open mics in there. You had grassroots going in there. And could you talk a little bit about that? And then the byproduct of that, the scene that's going on in like South Milwaukee and Racine.
You want me to talk about the sets that I listed off in there, or just in general?
You know, so we don't really have rules here on Verse. You know me well enough to know if there were rules, we would break them.
Right on.
So we just go.
Proud anarchists in the building.
That's it. We just feel.
Yeah, that was the If I Were a Poem piece. And towards the end of it, I did some wordplay with Food for Thought Society, which is an open mic by my friend Gideon, aka DJ Get Money, out in Milwaukee. I also listed in there radio shows on our Poet Radio channel, Voices Behind the Pen with Brother Rhea, Verses and Flow with my brother O. Then I said something about Unmuted Ink and Unmuted Mics. Unmuted Ink was actually a show many moons ago, blog talk radio, that I learned about through Poet, and that was probably over a decade ago. I forget who was hosting that one. She's out in New York. Anyway, the Unmuted Mic is what they do when you're on the radio. You know, they'll call your number 414-236. Your mic is unmuted. You know, so I made a little reference in there. Threw in My Poetry Speaks, SOS. I just said his name, no, My Poetry Speaks. And then My Poetry Speaks, and it will wow you. My poetry will wow you. Wow is another open mic by my friend Prince Daniel. Grassroots by Nick Ramsey, of course. If I were a poem, you would have to understand heartbeats and the hiccups in my brain activity in order to hear and feel me. Because if I were a poem, I would be that of an advocate of epilepsy if I were a poem. And you wanted to hear me, you would have to observe and listen through the activity of wires and electrodes and understand how to work the machines that study the slides of organisms that come from me. If I were a poem, you would have to have the capability to read the invisible ink and the scriptures that I wrote upon my soul, and have the ability to see the stains upon my soul, the breakage upon my heart, the scabbing from the cutting of my body. If I were a poem, you would have to play like Heinz and catch up. Because it's been 13 years of living these poems before I ever put a poem to paper. Because if I were a poem, I would want to be heard. Because if I were a poem, I'd be that of inspiration, motivation, determination. If I were a poem, I'd prefer to be around other poems like me, though. Not like me, because there'd only be one like me, though. At the same time, I wouldn't be able to associate with every poem around me. I just know that some of them would disappoint me. So if I were a poem, I would have to step up and step over some of these poems. Because if I were a poem, I'll stand tall. I'll stand with my fist in the air. If I were a poem, I would chant white, brown, black, unite. White, brown, black, unite. If I were a poem, I would question the norm of society. And I'd question authority. If I were a poem, I'd give you food for thought amongst society. Because I'd be pinching my pennies, because Quest would be helping me. My dollars would be spent amongst private chefs, restaurants, and vendors from the blocks that'd be surrounding me. If I were a poem, my thoughts would have to escape immediately and be written upon any surface that was available to me. Not just notebooks, though that of cardboard during night shifts of palletizing at the end of an assembly line, or an envelope because it was closer to me. If I were a poem and you heard me, you would be that much closer to me. If I were a poem, I'd be that of my own sanity. If I were a poem, I'd be resurrected and reborn just to be a messenger to you. If I were a poem, I'd be a person of extraordinary talent. I'd be a wordsmith that speaks through verses and flows. I'd be a voice behind the pen. I'd be worthy of unmuted mic and ink if I were a poem. My poetry would speak in wows. You would be wowed if I were a poem. Everything I would do would be for the culture if I were a poem. My roots would be strong as grassroots and trees. My open mic status would shake the leaves. Though if I were a poem, I would never leave. Though my words would bless the air where it's fair like leaves blowing around in the wind. Do you hear that? Do you hear the rustle? Do you hear the hustle? If I were a poem, you would definitely hear me, even feel me, and you might even start to understand me if I were a poem.
So safe to say you get around a little bit.
Yeah,
So
definitely get around.
So tell
that's
me.
that's just the area.
Yeah.
You know, I've definitely been around other states and what have you.
So how would you quantify the scene South Milwaukee and Racine right now? And how has it changed in, say, the last year?
Well, in the last year, there's a couple more that have popped up. I think Milwaukee is being resurrected. It's always had a beautiful scene that's coming back strong again. And it's definitely changed, you know, in the last 5-10 years. But within the last year, I think the only thing that's really changed now is we got a new generation coming in. But the beautiful thing about the open mic scene right now is that, you know, we all promote each other. Mm-hmm. You know, it's not as cliquey as it used to be. Years ago, it used to be very, very cliquey, and you couldn't promote other people's venues and open mics. You know, now we're just going ahead and promoting each other, really supporting each other, fusing together. So it's very beautiful. Racine, where I'm at, is starting to come together. It's had a scene as well, mainly with Nick Ramsey. Now you have myself tagged in there. And there's a lot of talent in Racine, and it's very slept on. And just like you guys are doing here in Rockford with making a hub, you know, we're also doing the same because, you know, we're right on the lake. We're within 3 hours of so many major cities and stuff like that, you know, between Milwaukee and Chicago, Gary, Indiana, Waukegan, Zion, Kenosha, you know, Madison, Green Bay. You know,
yeah, that's what I was going to say. You know, I would include like Iowa City and Rock Island in there.
Yep, we're
Green Bay is at the top of that pyramid, and that's where RR TuTT does most of his work. Talk a little bit about before I ask to talk about that, I will say my home mic that I host is up there at the Urban Culture Art and Event Center, and I would not have that gig if it wasn't for RR Tut. He recommended me for it, and I appreciate you for that. You know, you talk about people cultivating a scene and sharing and helping bring people up. There wasn't anybody in Green Bay who knew who James Hamilton was until I met RR TuTT. You know, so talk a little bit. I appreciate you for that, but talk a little bit about the scene up there. I know you do just a shit ton.
Oh yeah.
So you go into that a little bit and what you see.
Green Bay is a sports place, and it has music there as well. At the same time, getting involved when I first got to Green Bay, I just got involved with the music and I got involved with the art, and I wanted to be an add to the music scene, an add to the art scene. So my whole thing, learning it with the Black Power Militia, is communication, coming together, getting with each other, checking each other's out, trying to figure out what's the move to make it happen. So it was like more of getting to these places, getting involved, and also pointing individuals in places that can be very helpful. If I'm not good at this part, I know somebody that's good. You see what I'm saying? So these little pieces that I use were things to bring, you know, people together. So poetry was something that was being opened up as a beginning, but it really wasn't hot. And hip hop really wasn't hot like it is now. And there was no place in Green Bay. You know, if it was a place, it wasn't a place that really people wasn't really going to as a full community. I just started being that individual to start going to all the open mics, working with all the musicians down there, and just being open-minded, being able to be free and be able to create and not having like barriers. You know what I mean? So
it's interesting you bring that up because first time I saw you was at Tarleton Theater in Green Bay, and I think you did I Am, which is a piece that, we recorded here earlier today. What you're talking about there is, hip hop wasn't so big, so you were looking for a niche. You were looking for, looking for a hole.
Yes,
and I can hear that, especially in that piece I Am. There's poetry in there, there's hip hop in there. It bridges the gap, and a lot of your stuff does.
I am accepting something that I cannot change. I am just a vivid of your imagination. I am accepting something that I cannot change, and I can change what it is that'll make me feel better. See, love is the ultimate law of life. An eye for an eye can make the whole world blind. Optimistic as a human being, perseveration is spring as the spirit starts to scream. Well, here's a test for your greatness. Having the ability to forgive is the one true memory. As I stand on the shore, listen to seashells talk about being bored as lightning dance across the skies. I'm having a glimpse in the present and the future time. All aboard the heavenly craft of the dead secrets to the dark silence. I am just a memory in time, having access to the outer limit from the third dimension of the mind. I am sitting down with A1, having a conversation on a spiritual journey. As my soul began to burn like fire, I clenched my teeth and clutched my fists, and I asked myself, what am I mad about? Why am I mad about it? Is it the expectation of our races right in our faces? We complain, we confuse. Oh, we don't want to hear it until it's on the news or the doorsteps of our emotions. I'm in a final countdown, racing against time. For every step that I take, that master force is spreading abroad. I'm coming from Chicago, where the streets have been put two apart. Fools are on stages with their rude behavior, and they dreaming that money's gonna save them. Well. A new day would dawn for a new exchange, expecting the road to continue. Once again, open arms and full of charm, harming around the corner, waiting for you to pass so it can snatch you into his grips to implant the device. Everybody's looking for something. Everybody's looking for something as we perish like dust in the wind. I am not pop. I am soul. I am not looking to be sold. No diamond, no platinum, no gold. They are all in me. The sunbeam can hit me 1,000 times and it wouldn't pierce my skin. I am the beginning like all human beings. Like Ripley's, believe it or not, all of our heads are on the chopping block while rules are in order that's intended for our sons and our daughters. And I'm praying for something to change within the ignorant hearts of the ignorant minds. There is the veil over the ears. There is the veil over the eyes. Some inevitables are walking around deaf, dumb, and blind. I am not. I am just a vivid of your imagination. I am.
I know all three of us do the New Eurekans Poets Cafe, or we have done the New Eurekan Poets Cafe. I have never seen a reaction like I saw when you were on there the first time. I don't remember her name, but I know she's a poet from Connecticut, and she came on. Yeah, Elizabeth, yeah. Everything was silent, and all she said was, "What in the actual fuck was that?" I swear to God.
That's Elizabeth.
She laid that out there, and and it was great. So you did. You found a hole, most definitely. The other thing I want to say is, the three of us are, we're older gentlemen.
Oh, yeah.
We are older gentlemen. So I feel like we have a responsibility to these younger poets. Like I mentioned today, the Ali Aguero. We had Maisie Knox on here, who's a 20-year-old phenom. Was on here Friday night. But there is another group that you're part of up in Green Bay with a couple of younger poets, too. Can you talk about Collective Poetics a little bit?
Yeah, Collective Poetics. It's three of us. We have a native, we have an LBG sister that's a part of it, and you have me. And we will go around different places and meet up and go to these different open mics for poetry, which was hosted by Cujo, by the way. He was always one of the poet persons that was in Green Bay.
Oh, yeah.
Had
Shout
a couple
out
places.
Cujo.
Yeah, Cujo the poet. He's was one of the individuals that used to have a place. And then you had this other individual by the name of Tommy Boy and Tasha that runs the place down at the Urban Culture. And these places were places that people would be at. We would go there and we do our poetry. And so I formed a group with Kinetic Noetic, which is a native, and EJ Tree, which is an LBG, and just came up with the concept of being Collective Poetics. They were so interested in wanting to be a part of something. They wanted to, be heard. They didn't know where to go, and I just decided to say, you know what, I'm gonna make a way so we can go. So we're gonna be called Collective Poetics. So we host a show every last Tuesday of the month at this place called Mad World Collective Art Collective, And they're really trying to push it for every Tuesday. So we just been going different places, doing things. We went to this one place out here. It's a 100-year-old place. And we started, Forced In is the name of the place.
Yeah.
It's a 100-year-old place. I never been there. And we put a show on there. And we just opened up the doors. We got our feet wet. We took chances and just kept on going. So yeah, Collective Poetics is one of those type of groups that, you call on us, we there. You know what I mean?
What I appreciate about Collective Poetics and just some of the other projects that you've done up there that I've seen is Noetic is actually, I would like, he sounds a lot like me. And we come out of that Saul Williams type of vein, that hard, Saul Williams type of poetry. And then you got EJ that I would call her like she's a hippie girl.
Oh yeah.
Folk.
Yeah.
And then I saw you were playing with the Jeff Miller band.
Oh,
Been
yeah.
around forever, and that's essentially like a folk or light rock bluegrass type of band.
Yeah.
And you fit right into all of that stuff.
Oh yeah.
So I definitely I appreciate all of that sort of stuff that you do. You all right?
Yeah.
So we had I is nursing a cold. There's no doubt about that. So he had to step out and cough, which we appreciate, right? Paul Savvy Magoo, you got that all straightened out over there on the soundboard?
Are you kidding me? But I will tell you, he's done a great job of suppressing it this time around.
Yes, he has.
We hope he doesn't explode.
Well, I've been concerned about that.
Yeah, we got to talk about that because I know we have tacos planned for lunch later this week, and we don't want to have the same problem with anybody else in a different way.
Oh.
Right?
It's too hot in here to be, gassing it up.
I agree with that. So, a little bit more about scenes and what's going on. I want to ask about open mics versus or including paid features. We have a lot of conversations, you and I and Poet in general, about not only people getting paid for their performances, but paid for what they're worth. Right. And I know Milwaukee does not have, while they've got stuff going on almost every night of the week, not a lot of money flowing the artist's way there. Could you talk a little bit about that?
There's a few in Milwaukee that actually pay, but it's not what the artist is actually asking for. Mm-hmm. Is what they can manage. They have their own set, $50, $100, $40, whatever. Something's better than nothing. And if you can barter a service or a feature or something like that, somewhere or another, then it is what it is. Mm-hmm. We all know which ones pay and which ones don't. I'm not going to put anybody on blast.
No, we all, let's face it, we sleep on their porch until they hire us. We know.
Right.
Yeah.
Myself, what I like to do as a curator, when I bring features in, I like to bring people in from out of town and then combine them with top tier poets from our area.
Right.
And build those bridges. So like RR TuTT comes in, I want him to be in with Gat Turner, something like that, because they may not know each other yet,
right?
But they have similar interests and maybe not similar styles, but they have similar interests, and that's where conversations will start. That's where crowds will unite in a different spectrum. I will ask, like, hey, what do you charge normally? Yeah. And the normal thing I get is like, man, whatever you can hit us with. Get up there or something. I said, no, don't do that to me. Mm-hmm. Don't do that to me. I said, because if I'm going to give you a fair price, I need to know what you normally charge so I can give you the closest as possible I can get without being disrespectful.
Yeah, I can attest to that. You are. I was willing to do, we've got a feature scheduled down there in November for your Wordsmith Wednesday show, and I was willing to do it for a lot. And you're like, hey, no, we're going to do this for how I can do this and that, and I'm pleasantly surprised, because it's not really the norm that I'm finding out there, as far as it goes. I think that's one thing that the three of us do well. We give a shit about the art that we not only purvey, but we care about the people that are coming up, and I think that's our duty,
I think the three of us, what we have in common, I think it's the golden rule. Mm-hmm. I think we all, live by the golden rule. You do unto others who want done unto you. That's the reason why I treat features the way, I treat them, is because that's how I want to be treated. I know not everyone can afford my, my price, but if I'm going out of town, make sure my transportation is covered, and I got a floor, a couch, a bed, or something to sleep on. Give me a tent, and I'll pitch up in the backyard, like whatever. And
Well, you just had the guys that are on Mark Lipman as
that's
our
right.
National Beat Poet Laureate.
Their bus broke down.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, there was a lot that happened there. That was the Vagabond Poetry Tour.
Yeah.
That was Mark Lipman, the National Poet Laureate.
Damian Rucci.
Yeah, Damian Rucci from Jersey, Jeremiah Walton, Scott LaDuty, and wasn't there one more?
And Andrew Ragsdale.
Yeah, Alex Ragsdale.
Shout out to the mentally
tour
ill.
manager.
Yeah. Shout out to the mentally ill.
Yeah.
Rucci will love that one. I'm gonna send him that clip for sure.
Oh, that was fun. We met. Well, that was and that was the thing. I was in Chicago. I was doing a feature at a Ceasefire event in Costner, and was there with Orion Meadows, and then you had told me about and gave me the flyer for where Mark Lipman and they're going to be.
Yeah, Wesley Hines. Wesley Hine hosts a mic at the Gallery Cabaret in Chicago, which has been there. It's a great. We have to get you down there. We have to get RR down there. It happens this Saturday.
Okay.
And a good friend of ours and a guest that's scheduled to be on Verse, Richard Vargas, is featuring at the Gallery Cabaret this Saturday.
Okay.
Well, I know he's one of your favorites, Paul.
I love Richard Vargas, but I was there when I performed and you performed at Gallery Cabaret. You had dragged Luke Welch and myself there. That was a treat.
Yeah,
Was I wearing pants that day?
No,
Damn it. Yeah.
no, you forgot.
Right.
Yeah. But that's all it takes, man. For me, is someone hand me a flyer, give me an invite. I'll get there, and I'll do what I do. I'll open my mouth and I'll build bridges, I'll make connections, and then I'll pass those along, not only to our Wisconsin Poet Chapter members, but to other curators and individuals and stuff that I'm building with. Can't just hand out to everybody,
Right.
Because you have to be able to trust the people that you're connecting and building foundations with.
No doubt. I want to segue into artistic process a little bit, and I want to shed a little bit of light on the fact that RR TuTT, while he does poetry, he does hip-hop music, he does some pretty fantastic paintings, too. He's got some fine art out there. I didn't know if you wanted me to call you out on that or not, but I've seen it.
It's all good.
He does triptychs. They glow in the dark. They're really cool. So
He's got a virtual gallery, too, online.
He does. He does.
yeah.
Have you seen it, Paul?
Yeah, I was just looking at it earlier today. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, it's pretty cool stuff. So when we're talking about artistic process, my question for you is there a difference between how you prepare to do something like that or run a hip-hop album or work with Collective Poetics or just write something for yourself? Or, you do so much. Is there a variance in that, or do you wake up one morning and go, I'm pissed, so I'm writing poetry, and today I'm happy, so I'm writing this? Or how does that work?
The work ethics and the process it takes, it's just the feel. I know I have a lot to cover, so I try to make sure I reach all basics and make sure that I have not missed nothing. So if I go in with a thought of writing something down, that's my writing down, and then I'll look over the room and I'll see some type of art that don't have a name for it, and I'll put that name for that. And then when it comes down to the collective poets, I just let people be free, and as that freedom come, the creation come,
See, yeah, I agree with you there. We have a theme song for Verse that plays us in, and Mickey Colgan, who's also a Verse alumni now, she was on the show. And when I asked her to do the theme song, she said, asked me a bunch of questions. Well, what do you want it to be about? How do you want it to be? I said, you know what I said to her? I said, I want you to be happy with it.
Right.
Because, I believe if you collaborate with people, kind of like what you just said, you can't put restraints on it at all. You just have to say, do what makes you happy, and let it go.
I've been writing these poems since before I was a thought in my father's mind. Since God been writing and speaking thoughts into my father's mind, I've been writing these poems with and through God as a vessel. Until my father took them thoughts, turned the game, speak game to my mom, and the result was me in a human form. I then became a poet and a fighter so I could keep writing these poems. See, it all started with invisible ink powered by thoughts, universal vibrations, and scriptures upon my soul. Until I could learn to write in the physical form. See, I've been writing these poems. 6 months after my birth, I had my first seizure. So then it was written in my script of life that I would also be a fighter. 'Cause seizures had me feeling like I was sinking, disappearing from the physical form, like God and Satan were fighting over me. If God wins, then I would stay in the human form and I would work through him. If Satan wins, I would leave for hell right away. And I won't lie, Rockford, sometimes I would lean towards Satan, hoping that the burdens of me would die with me, leave with me. But my friends and family, they wouldn't let me go. They said that I would shake and I would kick violently, even while my legs were feeling numb to me, my mind going blank of their reality. Future poems are rewritten continuously in invisible ink, spoken through wires and electrodes, studied through slides of organisms and machines, having me feel like a test tube baby or an animal. Because the activity in my brain, it wasn't normal to them. The beat to my own drum, it wasn't normal to them. They wanted to know details. Oh man, did they want details to the infrastructure to these poems that I've been writing way before the physical form. Because by this time, I still had to put my poems to paper. Though this poem right here is proof that I've been writing these poems way before the physical form. I've been writing these poems with invisible ink, leaving stains upon my soul. I've been living these poems, walking, talking, breathing these poems. Y'all talking about, you've been writing these poems? Funny, I am these poems. I've written myself out of overdoses through these poems. I've been resurrected and reborn through these poems. My first poem I ever did write down to paper, I also performed in the same day, and I still got put in the friend zone. So I guess I wrote myself out of shyness and into encouragement and open-mindedness. See, I've been living these poems, walking, talking, breathing these poems, learning, feeling, teaching myself, all about myself, all through these poems. You're gonna be reading my poems after my death, because some of y'all weren't even born yet when I wrote these poems, when I lived these poems. I am these poems. I am I-Nspiration.
As far as preparation goes, I know you're putting into work, because you will call me probably twice a week and say, hey, I got a piece. Check it out. What do you think of this? I know you're talking to some of our friends down in Texas. Talk a little bit about your process as far as writing goes.
As far as the writing goes, I started jotting ideas down. It could come from a song, could come from just thoughts that are brewing around. I'll start jotting it down, and I have my composition book. I'll put it in there first. Then, once I get done, then I'll call someone like yourself, or I'll call CP Mays or Elemental. Or
You called me
somebody.
one day too. I ain't gonna forget
Yeah,
that. Matter of fact, I think we called each other on this.
not too long ago.
We be calling each other.
Yeah, that was the I'm Your Ally, Ally two-piece.
Yep.
Then I'll get some advice, and I'll take some notes, and then I'll rewrite it. Then I'll call back and be like, hey, check it out. And then I okay it, basically. Then I'll rewrite it.
You can okay it because you're in charge.
Right.
Just saying.
You know,
Captain of the ship.
me and the staff that's in that's upstairs.
Yeah,
right.
You know, I got a little staff that's in there that helps me out, locked inside in between the ears. But then I'll tear it out and I'll start walking around, performing it. Be like, okay, yeah, this is where it's at now. Make the calls back sometimes. Then I put it in its designated book or file. Mm-hmm. You know, I have different books for different, I do erotica, I do inspirational, I have stuff that's, more social, stuff like that, so all my stuff has different books, but I really got to work on putting stuff into my computer so I can get these actual books out, and that's something that I'm going to be working on. Alex Ragsdale actually showed that night when they were camping in the backyard. They put chapbooks together in my garage. Gave a little tutorial.
Nice.
It was a fun night.
I think sharing with other artists and letting them in. I've got two or three. One of them would be one of the. It's a lady who ran essentially a slam team. Would that be an accurate way of describing Lori, Paul?
Yeah, Lori Beach Grass.
Yeah.
And we call her Coach
Coach.
because she brings kids along, but she's a coach for the rest of us too.
Interesting.
She ran a program where they took kids that were in sixth grade and they held them all the way up to seniors in high school, taught them spoken word poetry.
Whoa.
You'll see some of them
dope.
tonight at the Rockford Certified Slam. I bounce ideas off of her. I remember us going to a gig, RR and I, and he got in the car and he one of them vibrating days. And he's like, James, I got a piece I got to run past you. And he ran a piece by me. I know the name. It was called Wormhole. He ran it past me. And he's like, this piece called Wormhole. And I'm driving down. I'm trying to get so anybody. Some of you have driven with me. Some of you have not. It's okay for you to look at me cross-eyed and know that I'm a shitty driver. I get that. Okay.
It's not your driving; it's the car.
Well, yeah, it's a little bit of both. I'm not gonna lie. He blew this piece out, and if I'm telling you right now, if there would have been a red light in our purview, I would have missed it. I'd have missed it all because he ran this piece out. And he's like, so what do you think of that? And I went, well, and I called him Ralph. I said, well, Ralph, I think it was fucking awesome. Because it was fantastic. It really was. But I think it's so important to do that. DG Clearing, which you guys all know DG, another Versed alumni, was here. He was the guy that started me on that. He used to come to gigs, and then he would record me, and he would send me a text message, right? And he'd say, you need to listen to yourself to get better. And then,
He told me that.
Yeah, and then he
told
would
me that.
message me the next day, and he'd be like, did you listen? And I'd go, yeah. And he'd go, I could tell when you opened the file, you didn't listen to it.
Well, he's a sharp guy. I wouldn't try to run anything past him.
Yeah, I
He
did.
told me.
DG.
He told me that about you, and
Pretty good stuff. But I think it's wonderful to have people like that to be able to bounce stuff up. And the guys that you mentioned, CP Mays is if you don't know who he is, check him out on Instagram or somewhere. He's a Houston poet, and the guy is absolute fire.
yes, sir.
I send him a message whenever, and I'll tell him every time I see him read, he makes me want to write.
I swear.
Yeah.
And he's got that Marine behind him, He got that Marine in him, so like you get that adrenaline from his pieces and that whole mind state.
So I want to talk a little bit about influences. And when I'm talking about influences, I don't necessarily mean poetry influences. I want to start with RR. Who would you consider to be your influences and why? Talk a little bit about that. And I mean, the world is open. It could be Captain Kangaroo when you were a kid watching that. It could be, anything goes.
Well, for me, it was home. It was me at home because mom got 14 siblings. Wow. So uncles was always into music, poetry, art, gymnastics. So home was what it was. And then looking out into the streets and watching the streets and the things that was like, I would be like, man, I wouldn't do that. And another person would do it, and I would question, why is that like that? So the inspiration of life and living, just the whole process of just experiencing and having the opportunity to just see the world, it became an inspiration to me to write. It became an inspiration to take something that I saw and put it in my own words to regurgitate it back into the world and see how the world look at what I just said, what I just saw. And how they, so inspiration would just come from home. Inspiration would come from the beginning parts of hip hop. And I would say people like Gil Scott-Heron. I would say people like the Last Poets. I would say people like Baldwin. I was really fascinated with a lot of people in my culture because they were people that went through a lot of things. So I knew one day I would be that individual that was in that type of thing. So I decided to say, hey, look, I'm just going to put things together, what I see, I'm going to write, and I'm going to try to give it to people in the rawest form that I can put it in, without hurting or harming. But inspiration came from just living life,
So do you mind if I mention your faith?
Oh, I am a Muslim, born Muslim.
Does that play into any inspiration for you?
Yes, the discipline part, the stand fast, the spirituality, the certain levels to go, not to go, the camaraderie of being together like, just like with us three right now, as we are who we are, we are also a generation of individuals that's from Generation X.
Yeah.
Because our emotions and our thoughts are kind of the same because we went through the same situations. So with that, being Muslim, you have to be open-minded to things in order to make things work. So you can't be stingy. You can't be selfish. So that plays a role to open up doors and also to, advance the mind and knowledge and wisdom and the spirituality of not knowing how far, not going too far, staying fast.
So the interesting thing about that was when we were approached by somebody from the Mendelssohn Center for the Performing Arts and sat down to talk with the team at WBOM Full Service Radio about doing this verse show. I said that. I said, listen, I kind of want this to be a thing where, like, these poets that I know, my friends, and I just kind of sit down and chop it up, just like you said. And that's kind of because what comes out of that is, well, I'll tell you, producer Paul Savvy Magoo over here, every day when we're driving out of here, probably on our way to a gig or something at night, he says, I feel like I'm in fucking graduate school, he says.
Oh my gosh, I'm in these radio shows all day, and then I go to a poetry event at night, and then I've got the seminar at home because I've got James Hamilton staying at my house. No, I got to get a degree out of this.
Hey, that's beautiful. It's beautiful.
So, inspiration from inspiration.
Yeah. I know I kept looking over every time he said inspiration. I'm like, like my name and whatnot.
I'm a little slow.
I'm
a little slow.
That's not true.
I think home is a start for inspiration for anybody, in my opinion. My home was pretty opposite. I came from a lot smaller family. I have one older brother. Not a lot of musical influences in my family. I was black sheep, very thick-skinned family. Not a lot of love yous and hugs and stuff like that, but that they did, that they cared, all that. But my inspiration really came through hurt, through confusion, and then it came through coming across people that could relate. I think, it was poetry that really opened me up, and it took me out of shyness and into open-mindedness. And then once I was there, then
no turning back.
Yeah, there was no turning back, and I became Goonie. That was like one of my first nicknames in my teenage years. And I went from that to Goon G to MC Goons to Hustle Man. I DJ'd. I was always bucking the system. Always questioning authority, questioning the norm. I was I had my own style, and then. You just couldn't tell me shit,
Sure.
And so I pulled a lot of influences from like Jim Morrison, Tupac, to back to Dr. Seuss, to Parliament, to Ozzy and Pantera, all over the place. Salvador Dali, Frida.
You say Dr. Seuss, the Cat in the Hat freaked me out when I was a kid. I ain't gonna lie to you.
Why I say Dr. Seuss, is because when I think of like Albert Einstein, I think of Dr. Seuss. Because imagination is more important than intelligence, right? And it's like that's Albert Einstein. But then you got Dr. Seuss who paints pictures, with one apple, two apples. So you have to visualize, through Cat in the Hat and all those type of things, Green Eggs and Ham, and you got to visualize. You got to use your imagination.
Yeah.
In order to bring forth intelligence. And then with my dad being a Marine, my stepfather being Navy, my mom being in, trucking industry, through women's rights movements and all that, I found more understanding amongst Muslim than my catechism, than Catholics. I'm starting to speak out on it, a little more, but I'm German and Norwegian, so it's not the easiest, to put out there, amongst my people. But then at the same time, I have to understand that my white complexion is for the connection, and that's important that I put, my beliefs out there to the areas where maybe RR TuTT ain't able to win, because of the color of his skin. I have to use mine to team up to get our unified message across for unity and peace. My influences come from those areas of rebellion, basically.
Yeah. I think every show. So this is the fifth versed on WBOM full service radio, and on each of the previous 4 shows, I think Black Sheep was mentioned. And if it wasn't, I know it was mentioned in a bunch of them, but Rebellion and, Anarchy, that definitely was mentioned. Yeah, I think that we all have that in common. We are the square pegs, and we don't fit in round holes.
But at the same time, we represent the percent that don't have a sense. Some people can't do what we do. Some people don't. They want to do it, but they don't know how to do it. And somehow, somewhere, we take the energy and just take it and flip it and turn it and say, "Was that what you was trying to say?
Yeah.
Was you trying to say that? Oh,
Yeah.
okay." So I think we have that uniqueness because we come from the same decade. We come from the same century of life, and we have some real hard struggles.
And the art that we do and the open mics that we go to and this time that we spend on the craft and out there and then in the community of those crafts, we talk about race and colorism and persecution, what's going on in Palestine right now. And, I don't see any of that because my circle is artists, is people like us.
Yeah.
I don't care. I just assume all of us were blue and believed the same shit because that's how I feel about it. I know that's not how the world is.
It is, right.
But that's how I wish it was.
Yeah.
I feel you on that.
Yeah, I think it's a solid thing to be able to, like I said before, to be able to take these things and bring them to the forefront because a lot of people don't have that ability to do it like that, you know what I mean? And by us being from different backgrounds but still facing the same struggles, it's like, hey, I got something to say. And I'm going to say it like this, I'm going to put it like that, and hopefully you can relate with it. But if you can't relate with it, you'll learn to relate with it. You'll grow to relate with it because it takes people like us to help those that don't have nowhere to go,
For sure.
I isolated myself in deep seclusion, away from the world in this confusion. I'm a black pirate militia writer. I'm excited for you to be invited, but at this time, there is a picture in my mind of a desert island. Alone, my mind in a zone, pad pen, so I start deeping within. I need no allies, associates, or friends. I must continue this stage as I gauge toward the future. So many obstacles trying to stop what I'm doing. If I let these things get the best of me, everything I strive for is ruin. So I open a portal that is not known to man, escaping through sound, moving fast as I can, into the darkness of silence, away from society, violence, bringing problems. See, I rely on the law and myself, while some of y'all rely on guns on a shelf. To give and send directions, to put in place in sections, dissecting, neglecting the true writer, his true professions, suggestions to detect me on the voids that's prohibited to go, as I isolated myself in deep seclusion mode. I stay far, far, far away, far, far, far away in a deep seclusion mode. It's not often that you find a writer like me who will put you under the impression that I'm easy to read. Just when you think your mind can enhance the image, thinking is everything. That's when I'll show you styles are flowing, gradually grabbing you into the levitate mode. With my lyrical libations, little limitation for my concentration, staying away from the negative behavior, expecting literature criticism, it's an ordinary thing. I have strange dreams, heard a lot of peculiar screams, taught myself not to be a part of the wicked seeds. I made one mistake that humiliated me. Now I had a way to regain my sanity. Through self-recollections, criminal confessions, now my self-control, I begun to become whole as Allah purifies my body, mind, and soul. I stay strong like tabernacle where worship is going on. No illusions, far, far, far away in a deep seclusion mode. I stay far, far, far away, far, far, far away in a deep seclusion mode. My perception being the most sacred weapon, sensation, tradition, maintain my position on this earth. I'm serious with feelings. I'm realer than half of these rappers out of spitting verses with no cursing. I'm hurting nerves. Who got the urge? I'm possessed by these verbs. These skills preserved, kept in the treasure chest with the rest of my prefixes, synonyms, antonyms, parables, where those who supposed to be the coldest unknown slogans manifested inside my scroll. Unleash the savage beast within me, being kind to the meek, revealing the madness off the street, cause what they teach will have you lost in the pasture like the sheep, while the wolf sits on top of the mountain with drooling teeth. Patiently waiting, I destroy Satan with silent tones, all alone in my zone in a deep seclusion mode. I stay far, far, far away, far, far, far away in a deep seclusion mode. So you can talk what you want to talk, you can spit what you want to spit. I'ma stay in deep seclusion with it, far, far, far away.
So listen, early in the show, I mentioned that I curate the groups that come on here. I pick the poets, artists that are going to come on the show with me. And I posed a question. I said, think about the common threads between us. And I'm going to ask you guys to have a guess, but I'm not going to do that yet. The first thing we do at the end here is I got something called the last word. Listen, if you've got something that you were itching to say, you said, I'm going on verse with James Hamilton on WBOM Full Service Radio, and I'm going to say this. Now is the time. So I'm going to go to inspiration first and give you a chance for the last word.
Inspiration, motivation, determination. I-Nspiration. Person of extraordinary talent in the state of Wisconsin, state of mind, Midwest, till I die.
Beautiful. RR, what do you got?
Well, I would like to say, for one, I have to give a lot of credit and a lot of thank you to the Lux Created, because without that brother, I wouldn't even been right here to be here with y'all. So I have to really give thanks to that brother before all, the creator, and you guys for even having us here, because this probably would have never happened. You know what I mean? This is a once in a lifetime things like Haley Comet. You only come once in.
You came all the way down from Green Bay.
Right.
Yeah.
So
They said that's the animal.
So I just say, hey man, thank you for having me. Thank you for being a part. Thank Green Bay. Thank all the individuals that I been working with throughout the years. The Jeff Millers, the Collective Poetics, the Made from Scratch, the Black Pirates, the Other Planets, the Jobs, just everybody, man. Because it took everybody for me to be where I am. So
Made from scratch.
Made from scratch too. Of course, made from scratch. Wait a minute.
We didn't even get to that.
Made from scratch, most definitely. The full band process is being in the play. The hip hop jam band called Made from Scratch. We're gonna be out there doing things. Y'all gonna see us,
Yeah. Paul Savvy Magoo Goddard, producer, cultural reference. What do you think the common thread is between the guests today?
Boy, that's a tough one. I was thinking about, they both tend to just spit out what I'm thinking. Both of you guys, I'll be sitting here and I'll be thinking something and it'll come tumbling out of one ear's mouth.
Yeah.
Yeah, if an I-Nspiration can hang on 30, nope, he can't.
He cannot.
No, you both, you just say what I'm thinking. I love that. I don't know, that can't be your thinking though.
My thinking, no. But like I said, it did get cooked up in my head. So you got, I mean, you could take a guess. You have gotten closer than most of the guests have in the past. So I'm going to ask you, think a little bit about what was discussed here today. Was there some common threads? Anything that stood out to you? I can give you a hint. Seeing as you're wearing an I-Nspiration hat and RR's wearing a shirt and everybody's got merch on, it's not the merch.
Oh, it's not that they each have their own hustle?
No, it's not the merch.
No, I mean, yeah,
not
I
the
was going to
merch.
say, RR TuTT's hustle is in creating art everywhere, all kinds of art all the time.
It's not the merch.
Okay, that's hard. They're both activists in a way. They're both moving a cause forward. I don't know. That's the best I can do.
All right. RR, you got a guess?
Well, I can just say that being alive. Being alive.
It's a good guess. It's
No.
a good guess. It's not right, but it's a good guess. So, I-Nspiration, do you have a guess as far as what the common thread is between the guests today?
Between the three of us, or just our
Just you and RR. Paul's here. He's kind of like furniture. We shut the lights off.
I'm about as bright as a piece of furniture.
We turn the air conditioning on at night so he doesn't die, and we kick a cheeseburger under the door about 7 in the morning.
I
Thank
thought
you.
it has to be a vegan cheeseburger, right?
I'm not vegan.
Oh,
I'm
I
just
thought you were.
diabetic.
Right.
Gotcha.
So we include the strips and the little needle packet thing and all of that.
Appreciate it.
He's well taken care of. No doubt. No doubt.
I think besides, the generation, I think common thread between our TuTT, and myself, is our voice, against, or for civil rights and humanity and hip hop.
Another great guess, but not correct.
It's what I said.
It is what he said. All beautiful guests. So the common thread today, in my eyes, was blue collar. You guys put in the work. I don't think I have ever seen two guys that put in as much work as you guys do. I mean,
appreciate that,
not
man.
only that, but I mean, we didn't even get into the fact that both you guys have day jobs. Both of you do work above and beyond this. I've never seen you late for a mic. You're always performing, and not only that, you're always willing to lend a hand to the people who are coming up and trying to learn the craft that we're out there purveying. So I appreciate you guys for that. And
Yeah, I'm actually a business owner.
Right, yeah, that's
lawn
what I
care
mean.
landscape, and that's why I won't be able to make it on Saturday. Because being here today, I gotta sacrifice to work the weekend. So
Okay.
listen, guys, thank you so much. RR TuT, the poetic EM.
See?
C equals EE. All right. And
Yeah.
I-Nspiration for coming on the show, sharing your art, your thoughts, and all of that stuff today. Your friendship is valued, and I truly appreciate the fact that
Back
you
at
guys
you.
came down.
Oh man,
Really,
thankful,
I got you.
grateful,
no
grateful,
doubt.
grateful.
So for producer Paul Savvy Magoo Goddard, the production team here at Verst, and for WBOM Full Service Radio, I am James Hamilton, poet, signing off. Peace out.